Can you hear that? It's Halloween, people. Let's do this. Hi, welcome back. My name is Tara Callahan and I do videos here every single week. And if you want to subscribe, just click the box right there. Boom. This week, I am not going to be doing anything sort of funny, if you find these things funny or whatever. I'm just going to, since it's almost Halloween, I thought I would tell a creepy story. We all have one of those stories where it just sort of rocked you to your core. So I thought I would share this one with you. I don't know how it's going to work out or if it's going to get posted, but let's just try to tell a story. Many of you know that I used to live in Los Angeles a long time ago, and I fancied myself a photographer at one point because I went into the desert one day and took some semi-okay pictures, and I thought I was going to be, you know, this great photographer. So, but you know, whatever. I like to get out of town every once in a while, and I found this place on the internet, and it was called Desert Wonderland, and I found it online, and it was when I saw the pictures, it was just this little bungalow out in the middle of the Mojave Desert, away from anything, miles from any town, in the middle of the desert, sort of just plopped there. So it was surrounded by miles and miles and miles and miles of like desert and Joshua trees. And in the distance, there were sort of the mountains or the foothills, whatever you want to call them. It was sort of perched there in the middle of nowhere. And I thought that's a great place for me to go and maybe go take some pictures and maybe do some writing. I had all these great aspirations of doing some writing, but that rarely happened. So I got myself together, and I probably should have taken this as a bad omen. So my friend Debbie Sevilla, I didn't want to take my crappy Honda Civic out to the desert, and I had a ton of gear and just firewood and all this crap that I was taking with me. So my friend Debbie Sevilla lent me her SUV at the time, and the night before I was supposed to go, I had driven her car home from work so that I could take it with me the next day. And when I went to get in it the next day with all my stuff, it was all packed up, the car wouldn't start. It wouldn't start. There was just no way for me to go anywhere. And so I had to actually find a place that would rent a car, get all the stuff out, pack it into the car, and finally I was on my way. Hours and hours after I was supposed to be leaving. But I persevered. I got myself a rental car, and it was not an SUV. It was just this really shitty little car. No fancy frills or anything like that. You know, just like I was like, I don't even know it's going to make it to the desert, but whatever. So I packed up all my camera gear and all my firewood and my bags and everything, and I drove out there, and it was way past Palm Springs, past those big, you know, those white windmills that you see all the time in the movies, way past that. A couple of hours there into the desert, and it wasn't off a main street that was paved or anything. It was actually down a bunch of dirt roads, so it's sort of like four-wheeling to get there. The roads were sort of really crappy out there, but I did get out there to Desert Wonderland, and it was gorgeous. Oh, it was gorgeous. I hope I have pictures to show you guys. So I got out there, and I knew they had a wood-burning stove, and all it was this tiny little bungalow, one bedroom, and you walk into the side door, and you're in the kitchen, which has beautiful windows that overlook the sort of dirt driveway and the rest of the desert. And then it had this big open room with a record player that had all these albums that whoever owned this place had a love of albums, and he had all these Joni Mitchell albums and all these albums that you really want to kind of listen to when you're out there on your own. And a little bedroom and a bathroom with these saloon doors, and this big window that it was above your boob, so if anyone saw you, they were not able to see you, but you could see out the window and into the desert. So it was really great, and I thought, perfect. So I had myself a great time the first night. I got everything situated. Before I left, I was told that there was no cell phone reception at this place. So I decided that in order to feel safe, I should probably rent a satellite phone, just in case something crazy happened and I needed to call 911 or something like that. So I rented this satellite phone, but I threw that in the car and I never actually looked at it. I never opened the box. I never read the instructions or anything like that, but I threw that in. So anyway, my first night there, I lit a fire. After like 400 attempts, I lit a fire, and I danced around to Joni Mitchell, and then I went to bed. No big deal. Nothing happening. I went and took pictures the next day for hours and hours and hours in my little teeny car out in the desert. And when I was coming home, I stopped at this one place to have a glass of wine and dinner. And then I went back to my little desert wonderland. And I locked myself in for the night, and I lit a fire. And that's when the shit started going weird. So I was here's the sun going down. It's dark. I've got everything, lit, the fireplace. And I hear in the distance the low rumbling sound of a truck. If you're a woman, you know that sound. You know that sound as a guy, but as a woman, you know that sound. That's not a sound that you want to hear coming at you from the distance in a very remote home that you're in, knowing that there's like really nothing down the road. If you actually traveled down this dirt road that this house was on, eventually you would get to one more property that had its lights off, so it just looked abandoned. So I hear this rumbling. And I was like, meh. I turned the radio or the music down and got a little bit nervous, and it sort of just lumbered by, and I thought, well, they're probably lost. They're just lost, right? Whoever it is lost. And I sort of watched it go by and into the distance, or I thought maybe they own that house way out in the distance. And so I sort of just blew it off. But there was that like orange alert feeling that you get when you're a female, like, shit's just not right. But I didn't get excited. I didn't get crazy. I wasn't scared. About 10 minutes later, that same truck came lumbering back by, and it was going very slowly, which was very odd because I could travel really fast down this little dirt road in my little shitty rental car, far faster than this SUV was traveling, or this pickup truck was traveling. So that made me nervous, and they sort of lumbered by, and they went back towards town, and they went down the street, and I could hear them going off into the distance. At that point, I decided that it was probably a good time to go look at the satellite phone, because I really kind of was getting nervous, thinking, what if they come back? They're not going to come back. They're not going to come back. But what if they come back? Oh my God, wait a minute. I need to like be able to call 911 or something like that. So I go into the bedroom where I'd like thrown this box with a satellite phone, and my hands are starting to shake at this point, and I open up the box and start, feverishly reading the instructions, and it says there, like paragraph 1, you have to have a clear view of the eastern sky or something, the western, whatever. It said I had to have a clear view of the sky, meaning I needed to be outside to use the satellite phone. This was a long time ago. They've probably perfected this by now, but that's what the instructions said. And I remember trying to turn it on. It just wasn't working. So now I'm stuck in this house. My cell phone, which I do have, has no reception, and I have a satellite phone that is not good unless I am standing outside in the pitch dark dialing 911. Trying to keep a like cap on your panic when you're out there by yourself in the desert is really hard to do, but I did it, and I was like, okay, whatever, they're not going to come back, it's fine, it's fine, it's going to be morning, and then I'll just drive out of here. About 15 minutes later, I hear that same truck coming back, and it's slowly coming back, and it felt like it was going slower than it did the first time. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was all of my perception of reality, who knows, but it eventually came to the front of the house, which was where the kitchen was, with the windows and the side door to the car which I had driven in, and they pull into the fucking driveway. The car pulls in, the truck pulls into the driveway. I wasn't really, I think I stopped thinking for a minute. I was like, there's no way this is happening. This is like what happens to crazy girls in movies that decide to rent houses on their own in the desert. You stupid girl, I'm surprised you're not in your underwear and bra just dancing around like a fool. Anyway, here's this truck lumbering outside, and they don't get out. I was like, well, maybe they need directions. Please don't come to the door, because I'm not opening that. But I thought maybe somebody would jump out, a female or something like that. Nobody gets out. So I just get my phone, and I'm kind of pretending, not the satellite phone, but my actual cell phone, I'm pretending to be on it and talking and having like the greatest conversation ever with nobody on the other line. And I'm talking, and I'm like sort of looking around the house, trying to act like I don't see them. I really refused to look at the car. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see it. Their headlights were on, so they were sort of beaming into the kitchen. But I ignored that, and I refused to look directly at the driver's area, and I went to where the forks and the knives were, and I got myself a knife. This sounds like I'm making it up, and it is 100% the absolute truth. So I get myself a knife, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Oh my God, what am I gonna do? What the fuck am I gonna do? good job renting a house on your own. Oh my God, like, I think I flatlined for a second. So I've got this knife and I'm on the phone and I'm kind of hiding the knife just in case they're watching me through the windows that have no curtains, and it's lumbering out there. It's just, it sounds like if you, remember that movie Christine, Stephen King? Oh, it's just like that creepy, rumbling, awful sound. And I'm just panicking. I'm just sort of wandering around, pretending I'm on the phone and waiting for them to smash through all the windows in the house and kill me. They don't. They sit there for about 5 to 7 minutes and then they slowly pull out and they drove away. They didn't drive towards town, which would have made me feel a lot better. They drove towards that creepy house with no lights on, like way miles away in the distance, which was the only other place. And at that point, I realized that I had a really crappy decision to make, which was either stay in the house and figure out if I was just being paranoid idiot and they would just drive by and I would never hear from them again, or they come back and kill me, or jump out of the car, or smash the windows, or rape me, or kill me, or whatever. So I was on like 5-alarm terror at this point, and I decided I needed to get out of the house. And so I gathered up all my stuff. I gathered up the satellite phone, all my gear, all my camera gear, I packed within like 2 minutes, and I shoved everything by the door. I had to actually make the decision. I remember standing in the kitchen with this knife and all my shit by the door, thinking, I gotta open the door. I have to open the door and get to the car. And it did not have an automatic lock that opened it, so I had to get out with all my stuff, get to the car in the pitch black, open the door, get my stuff in, and get in and drive away. It took me it felt like a half an hour. It was probably close to 45 seconds to like get my courage up. Because what am I gonna do? I'm gonna open the door and someone's gonna axe me in the head or grab me around the face and like drag me off to rape and kill me somewhere else, or torture me, or put me in a trunk. I didn't know if anybody was out there. I didn't know if they had dropped somebody off, if somebody was outside the other corners of the house that I had no vision, that I could not see. So I grew a pair, and I don't know what gave me the courage to open that door. I had my knife in one hand, all the stuff over my shoulders, and my keys, and I opened the door fully thinking that I was going to be murdered. And I got to the car, I opened the back door, I threw all my shit in, I opened the front door, I get in, and I just prayed the thing would start. It was a rental car, and it did, and I drove away. I left all the lights in the house blazing. I don't know if even the music was on. I left everything on. There was nothing turned off. It was just all on, and the door was locked. I think I locked the door behind me. I don't know. Who cares? But I drove into town. I didn't even drive home that night. I was shaking so badly, and I was so crazy distraught that I just couldn't even get myself home. I drove to the like brightest motel. They weren't hotels out in this area. This brightest motel with like 400 million cars there, and I just begged them for a room, and I just stayed there for the night. And I got inside and I locked the door and I burst into tears. I just burst into tears. I've never been so scared in my entire life. I don't think I have ever been that frightened. I know for a fact that there was something bad that would have happened that night. I just had that instinct. I'm not really a fraidy cat. I mean, if I was a real like person who was worried about that stuff, I never would have thought, oh, it's a great idea to go into the desert by myself and rent a house. But I did. I guess the moral of the story is trust your instincts and get the hell out of there, girls. Don't be stupid. Don't second guess yourself. Get out of the bad situation. You can do it. Just grow a pair and get out the door and get in your car and drive away. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that story. It wasn't meant to be funny. It was just meant to be a creepy story. You probably have your own. I'd love to hear. If you want to comment below, please do. I would love to hear your scariest moment that you've ever had. We've all had them. That was mine. I hope I never have another one to top that. Thanks for watching. Happy Halloween. I'll see you next week.